Hello everyone, and welcome to Judy's Creations in Crochet. And today is January the 25th, 2024. It's been a month since Christmas. Where did the time go? So, I got fuzz on my tongue. I want to welcome you all and say a big thank you for stopping by to see my video. For those that are returning, of course, I appreciate every one of you. And if you happen to be new, a new subscriber, or just stopping by for the first time, I hope you enjoy what you see. I'm all about showing my finished objects and my works in progress. I crochet only. And I also like to share with you my love of hand-dyed yarn. I particularly like expression fiber arts. This is all expression fiber arts behind me, and you'll hear me refer to it as EFA. I am in Canada, as my symbol might signify to you. So therefore, at the moment, I am concentrating on Canadian dyers. I absolutely love hand-dyed yarn, especially fingering weight. That's my favorite weight. And I like to share that with you. I know not everybody buys what I call luxury yarns, but I like to tell you about them in case you decide to give them a try. So thanks for stopping by. I think I'm going to start with an obvious, what am I wearing? Yes, I finished the sweater that I was in the midst of last week. And I'll stand up so you can see it a little bit better. This is a top-down sweater made with a latte cake. Here is the latte cake I actually used. Karen's latte cake. I thought it was upside down before. Okay. Who can tell? Anyway, a Karen latte cake. I had several of these in my stash. I had 3 of this particular color, which is called Blackberry. And there are 530 yards in one of these cakes. And I only used 2 cakes, and I'm not a small person, and I had this much left over. I haven't weighed it, so I don't know how much is in it, but I had this much left over of a cake. So I'm definitely, I would say I have, enough to make this up over 600 yards. So maybe I'll make a shawl or something like that. Oh, I think I know what I'm going to make, and I'll tell you about that later. So anyway, this is one finished object this past week, and I'm really happy with it, but I do want to say a couple of things. I followed the, it's a tutorial, and I will link the YouTube tutorial in the description box below. And I followed it pretty much to a T. She starts with this ribbing. So you go this way around, and then you connect it, and then you sew onto the side of it to go down from there. Now, she said she did 60 rows, and she said, you don't have to do 60. Of course, everybody's a different size. She was a small person, I think, and she said, but please try to do it in multiples of 5. Well, at 50, I put it around my neck. It didn't seem to be long enough, so I did 55, and it did go around my neck, no problem. Well, I have learned I don't like them that wide. I like them up here. So the next time I do it, and I will do it again, I'm only going to put 50 around the neck. 50 around the neck will keep it up where I want it instead of sliding down here. I really don't like straps showing. And the other thing is it'll make it a little smaller around, or it'll set it up higher. Now I did exactly what she said about increasing. She gave a formula and showed how to do it every 10th and so on and so on. And I followed it down, but I did not do as many rows as she said, because I had to cut off, and you know, it's fine. I would even cut one row shorter the next time. But that part was fine. I'm happy with the armholes. And then she has you go straight down for a while. And then she has you decrease. And that's the first time I've had a top down do a decrease, which I really liked because it did bring it in at the hips. And then she has you do a ribbing like this, which means that when you get to the bottom, you have to chain out and then go back and forth and slip stitch. And I didn't really want to do that, so I just did some, you can't really see it because of the color. I did some posts. I did a front post and plain, front post plain all the way around, and I did 3 rows. It kind of curls up, so maybe next time I go to the bother of doing what she said here. She also said to put the ribbing on the end of the sleeve, and I did not want ribbing on the sleeve. Her ribbing was wide in every place. I didn't want ribbing here, so I gathered it. She does have you gather it, or not gather, but decrease, and then I put a row of single crochets and then another border row that I learned recently. I'll show you on my other item, and it's 3/4. I'm happy with 3/4 length, so I am happy with it, except I don't know if you can tell that when you're increasing, obviously you have to increase, especially us women, because it has to get over our chest. But increasing all the way around in regular increments means you increase at the back as well. So you have a very, very blousy back. We don't have as much at the back as we do at the front. So the next time I make this, I'm going to just increase for a few rows, and then I'm not going to increase at the back, or maybe I'll increase every second or third row while I'm increasing at the front. I don't need all that extra blousiness back here. So I'm going to try that and see how it works. Now, here is the yarn I'm going to use. This latte cake is called a number 5. Next time I make this, I'm going to make it with this. I have a sweater's quantity of this yarn, and this is Twisted Tweed Sport. So that's like more than 2 sizes down. It doesn't look that much less. It looks almost like a DK, but I think I'm going to make it in this so it won't be as heavy or fuzzy, and I'm going to try and make those few. I'm going to only put 50 here and less increase in the back. So in another month or maybe less, I'm going to make this sweater again. I am really happy with how it turned out, but I do want to make a few minor adjustments. So that's my first finished object. My second finished object, if you remember, I made one of these last week, and I decided I wanted to make a couple more right away because next week we are going to be taking our donations to the church. As you know, I donate to a senior's residence just before Christmas, and that's all shawls. And I donate whenever I can to our church. We have a breakfast program, and people are free to come in off the streets. Not all of them are homeless, but some of them are, and get a free breakfast on Saturdays. They go to other places during the week for meals as well. And we started in the last year or so to take items of clothing to them. So in the past, we have donated some shawls, but mostly blankets and scarves and hats and so on. And we're getting ready to take a bunch of scarves and hats and a couple of blankets. And I decided that the item I made last week, which I called a bandana cowl hoodie, would be perfect, especially at this time of the year. So I made another one, and I have a work in progress I'll show you in a minute. And this one, I think, is a little too tight. A little too tight, unless it was for a child. Well, maybe they could put it for a child size. I might take out the top part and redo it. We'll see what my time is. But I made this one, and this one is made with a, there it is, with a cupcake. I had two of them, and I used it completely. Two cupcakes, Lion Brand cupcake, and this is the color Tundra. Now, they are a weight 3, and I have to say that I think I prefer a 4 weight for them. The one I did last week was a 4 weight. So I finished that one, and I'm going to mix things up a bit. I am working on another one. This one I am doing with Mary Maxim Prism, and it is a weight 3 as well. It's the pattern I'm following used Red Heart Unforgettable, and it is called a weight 4. And this feels the same, but they call it a weight 3. So maybe it is a little lighter than the Unforgettable. So here it is. I'm partway through one of the donuts, and this is the beginning of it. I'm right about at the point now where I can gather it at the back of the neck and start working on the cowl part of it. I'm just going to check my measurements and so on according to the pattern that I'm using. Very pretty colors. Feels very, very nice. I have to tell you that cupcake doesn't feel all that nice. I hope it softens up when it's washed. But that is another one, and I have enough time to do a third one, and I may have to just take a picture of it to show you next week that I finished it, because we are taking the donations to the church next Tuesday. And I'm using, this is not a furls, it's off of Amazon, but I'm using a 5.5 millimeter hook on this one. I used 2 different hook sizes on the other one I showed you. So that's my work with, I call them bandana cowl hoodies. I don't really know what they are called. I have to search through a lot of different names to find them on Ravelry. Now I have one other finished object, and that is my monthly cowl. And I'm going to show it to you today, even though it's not the end of the month yet. And the reason I'm going to show you is this also is going to go in the donation pile, and it will be gone next week. So here is a cowl, and it's called the New Cowl, because the designer, who is, I forget her channel name, but she's Ruby Baby. They call her Ruby Baby. Her name is Angie. But she kind of designed this cowl and a hat that matches. And she used the pattern from, I think it's Olga Potava, that made a blanket out of this. And this has a granny square in it. You can hardly see, but the black is the granny square, and then you go around it in the second color. So you can find it as 2-color granny, I think, online. But she says it looks like a U this way, it looks like an N this way, so she called it the New Cowl and Scarf. Now, I did tell you I changed yarn. It's a fairly good sized cowl. And I use, this is, I showed it, I think, last week. This is Red Heart Soft, I believe. And this is Ice Yarn Picasso. And I'll show them again. Next week is the week when we show the slideshow of all of your work. And at that time, I'll show a picture of this that I finished it, and I'll have the yarn with me. I forgot to bring the yarn to show you today. But that's another finished object, and that's going in the donation pile and will be gone by next week. So while I have this in my hand, and it reminds me to tell you that today's the 25th, and your pictures need to be sent to me by the 28th. That's this Sunday. I need them by that night, because Monday I will start working on the list, the playlist for the slideshow. So please remember, if you're working on something, to get it to me. I have maybe a dozen and a half pictures so far, some nice bright colorful items from some people, and I guess you're really enjoying these bright colored birds. So that's my other finished object. Yes, I think that's all I had to show for today, and that's the only work in progress, although I will make another one before next week. Before I go on, I forgot to say this at the beginning because I got sidetracked with what I was wearing. It seems that, you know, sometimes my mouth runs away without my brain being engaged. And last week I made a number of mistakes. I hope you just forgive me. You know, I said something like being in hot water when I meant hot weather. And I was talking about Borealis sending me the free yarn, and I said it was Allison, and I know it's not, it's Jessica. Jessica is the owner of Borealis, and I guess her daughter works with her. And there was something else I said, and it wasn't right, but you know, I'm at that stage. I have a friend that says, I don't have Alzheimer's, I have sometimers. Well, I definitely have sometimers where I say the wrong words, so please forgive me, and I don't always catch them. Sometimes I put the oops on the screen when I can. So anyway, I will try to slow down just a bit, pay attention to what I'm saying. All right. The next thing I want to do is show you my yarn room. I promised you would get to see my yarn room. So I actually am going to interrupt the video here and do a walk around in my yarn room and where my yarn stash is kept. Just a teeny bit of background. First of all, I've already done 2 practice run-throughs. I'm going to try one more time. And it turns out that somehow the volume is not coming through. Even though I sit, I don't know, 1.5 feet away from the iPad when I'm taping, the volume seems to be fine. But when I was walking around the room, so I had it much closer, it still goes in and out and in and out. And I don't know if that's maybe my hand going over the microphone. I don't know, but I will try one more time. But if the volume doesn't come through properly, you'll have to listen real hard in the soft parts. And I definitely apologize. Now, before I show you the rooms, I just want to tell you this much. I live in what is called a front to back split house with 4 levels, and this is down on the 3rd level in a room that was meant to be a 4th bedroom. From the moment we moved in, and by the way, the house was brand new when we moved in, we bought it from the builder. this immediately became my office. Most of you know I was, in a former life, I was a teacher. So this became my office with a big desk and a big filing cabinet. And I did have a small old sewing machine that sat in the corner. Well, over time, I needed this room for other things. I eventually brought in a serger, so I had 2 sewing machines. But then, as you know, I mentioned that I had a store, a cross-stitch store, and it moved into my home. And so this room became the focal point of the store. And then I used the hallway and closets out there. And so all of this had to go somewhere else. So I was here alone at that point in time. So the office moved up to 1 spare bedroom, and I had a big office unit and everything, desk and computer and the whole bit. And the sewing machines moved into the tiny 3rd bedroom, and they were upstairs, and this was my store. Well, eventually, I retired and I shut down the store, and I needed a spare bedroom. Who knew? I had nieces then. So I brought the sewing, and this became a sewing room. And I just decided when I started up my YouTube to move in an old kitchen table and put it in the center and keep the sewing on one end and keep my yarn on the other end. So you're going to see the room with the mixture of things that are in the room. So that being said, I'm going to turn this off and then come back to you showing you the room. Okay, this is my 3rd and final attempt to try to videotape my sewing room and stay close to the iPad so that you can hear me. And I won't move my hands around to cover any of the mics. So this is coming in from the hallway into my sewing room, and immediately we come to the side of, there's the unit you see, and up here, that extra one, this is where I store all of Kiki's dresses. And then if we move around, you see it's behind that yarn. So that is there. That's better lighting. That is what you see every week as I videotape. And I'm going to turn around and stand in front of it, because here is the chair I sit in, and this is my view of the room. I don't know if it's going to darken up or not, but you can see the table in front of me, the stand, and the sewing at the end of the room, and all that goes with it. So I'm going to turn back around here, and as you see, there is the yarn from EFA. And then to my left is this other unit. It's a storage unit as well, and it is smaller than the one behind me. And you can see there are baskets and extras on the top. And right here, this is all the yarn from Color of My Fiber, and I'm going to be storing them somewhere else after today. Beside that, you see the cart. I think a number of you have carts like that. And I often put my finished objects, and I bring the cart out and set it here beside me so that I can work off the cart to show you yarn or finished objects. But most of the time, the yarn goes on this table. I don't know why it turned so light, because it was dark the other way. But anyhow, I can't do much about the lighting. What happens if I do this? That doesn't help. This table always sits here because that's where I put the yarn. You're going to see the yarn that it would have been piled here, but I moved it so that I have it in easy access to be able to show it to you. Now, this table is a rickety, shaky table, and it does not belong in here. I had to move it in here when I took the table table I was using out to the other room, and I'll show you that and what's going on with that table in a few minutes. Now, as we go along the side, you see the tub. That tub was the tub that I got. If you remember, I got some free yarn from a lady. My sister-in-law brought it to me, and that was the tub that was filled with yarn. Right now, it has some finished projects in it, but I can't show you yet because I did some test patterns, and I can't show you until they release the patterns. And then on top is just some odds and ends of minis. Next to it is what was my serging table. I closed it up. I got rid of the serger, and you can see this is one of my project bags, the one I just showed this morning. And I am getting a couple of plastic tubs to set on here to store yarn. I think I'm going to put all the color of my fiber in here. And of course, there's the window. It's a bit bright, but right here where it turns dark is the ground level, so I'm below ground there. And if you looked out that window, you would see my backyard where all the hostas are that you have seen and will see again later this year. Then, of course, we go around here to the sewing table, and all that's connected with sewing is up above. Picture of a couple of my nieces and so on. Then over on this far wall, hopefully the light will be good. You see, that is a closet, because this was meant to be a bedroom. So over here we have a closet and a little bit of a storage unit down below in the bottom, cross-stitch supplies. But you can see some project bags, a UFO, that's going to go in a project bag, and another storage unit. It's 3 high. If I go higher, the light won't be good, so I'll stay where I am. And then to the side, oh, there we go, I have a hanging unit. This unit that hangs, I can't get my finger in the picture. Anyhow, that unit is, I think, meant to be for sweaters. But anyway, that's the yarn from American Dyers. In here, here we are. In these units is Canadian Dyers. Up here is from Knit Crate. And then up above, there's yarn from All Mohair. But what I want you to notice, if I stand back, can you see better? Or forward? Oh, there's better lighting. See around the sides and up over the top and down the other side. See all the project bags? Most of the project bags across the top and down that side are project bags for the year 2024. In other words, at the beginning, before the year starts, I went and got the pictures for the tropical birds for the mall this year, and I got yarn to match those pictures, and I put it in a project bag. So I have, since January's done, I have 11 project bags up there and around with yarn for the project of the month. And I'm very happy to say that I shopped my stash for every one of those projects. I found it all in my stash. And then down below we have some other odds and ends, and they have a little bed where the furry friend sleeps when I'm videotaping some of the time. So we're back here to the EFA yarn, the door. We're going to go out and see a little more stash. So if we go out the hallway, and there's a second hallway going out the door, out the back door, and you see another storage unit. And this is 4 wide, 4 high, plus 3 more. I don't want to lift it up. The light is right in front of it. But there we have storage, and this is not hand-dyed yarn. We have things like Lion Brand Comfy Cotton. I think up here We have Horizons from Hobie. Here are some odds, you can't even see up there, no point opening it. But this is all, at the very bottom I have 2 units with ice yarn. So this is all non-hand-dyed yarn. This is yarn from other places. And then if we turn around, remember this is my room, the wall coming out of it, and here is the room behind the wall that you see every week. And up here what we have is the wall that I mostly use to take pictures. You can see the mannequins. I haven't worn this sweater yet, but I will next week or the week after. And that's what I was talking about earlier about the bandana cowl hoodie that I made that will be going probably in a donation. And there's some more things. You've just seen this earlier. And I sometimes use this wall as well. So this is where I do my photography work. And see the unit there, the bookshelf unit? I think you can see there are 2 cubes. One that I did the diamond painting on last year. 2 cubes of yarn. In here there are 2 more cubes full of yarn, hand-dyed yarn. There is a second part of that bookshelf over on this side, and you can see again 2 cubes with yarn between it, and down below again 2 cubes with yarn below it, and again all hand-dyed yarn. And here is the table that I use in my taping room. It's a good solid table, wooden, from my previous kitchen set. But we were doing a puzzle. My girlfriend and I do puzzles, and we have this one and one more. It's a 2,000-piece puzzle that needed a bigger table. So we switched the tables for the time being. Hopefully we'll get this puzzle done this month and the other one next month, and I'll get my table back. I really miss my table because that other one is too wobbly. Now as we turn around, this is the wall behind me, and on the other side of the wall that you see behind me is this shelving unit. I've had that shelving unit for a long, long time. And you see on that shelving unit, lots of storage cubes, all full of yarn. The 2 at the very top on the right have Sparkle DK. They don't make it anymore from EFA. The 2 over here, these 2 are full of Ravenswood yarn. These are not hand-dyed down here. Some is from Stenley. I have sweater quantities in these. And I think this one, no, these 2 are hand-dyed. But these are all odds and ends of other things. Will I ever get to it in my lifetime? Not likely. But now you get a bit of a taste of the stash that I work from. That sign I made for when I had my craft show. So that's what I call my stash, and we don't even talk about the fact that I have a couple more tubs down the basement. Not much anymore, since I have destashed and I've destashed again, but there still is a little bit down the basement. We're not even going to go there. So I hope you've enjoyed this bit of a look at my sewing room and my stash and where I work. So I hope you enjoyed that little tour of my, I guess you'd call it my yarn room now, and the rest of my yarn stash out in the room behind me. That big unit with all of the cubbies in them, or the storage cubes, is on the wall behind me on the other side of the wall. So now we come to the fun time when I get to show you acquisitions and happy mail And quite honestly, not a lot of acquisition, just there are a few, but mostly it is happy mail. And I was overwhelmed this past week. I can't begin to tell you, but I'll start with this first. I don't know how many of you might follow Needles at the Ready with Kevin and Ray. They are knitters, and of course I'm not a knitter, but I got turned on to their channel last fall, and I find them quite enjoyable to listen to. They only come on every other week, but it is a fairly long broadcast, and I guess there's something about them. I enjoy listening to them. I enjoy seeing what they're making, but they also show yarn, and they talk about some yarn shops they've been to, and they get out to a number of the fiber festivals, you might call them, and so on. Now, just a sec, I need a drink. Now, although they both mostly knit, Ray actually, I think, was a crocheter before he was a knitter. And he does show some crochet now and then. And in the fall, for about 2 months, they had a thread going on Ravelry, and they called it a crochet mal. So anybody could submit pictures of what they were crocheting. I think they did it both on Instagram and in Ravelry. And I know I posted at least one, if not two, items that I made during that time, because in 2 months I would have made several things. So I did post, and they picked some winners, and lo and behold, which is very unusual for me, I won one of their prizes. So I got this little thank you card for participating in the fun. And here is my prize. It was a crochet kit. And see what it's going to make? I remember, I didn't have one, but my younger sister had one of these in plastic when we were growing up. All the different little donuts that fit on the center spindle. And there's all the yarn. It is Shapey's yarn, cotton obviously, to make this. And I thought, well, how appropriate. I think I mentioned my oldest niece is going to have a baby. Well, we know that baby was born, well, I'm taping before it's born, but we know that she's having a C-section on the 24th. So when you're seeing this video, she already has the baby, and I don't know what it is because I'm taping before that, but I'll tell you next week. Anyhow, I thought, well, isn't this appropriate? It would be perfect for her. I don't need it for probably close to a year. She'd be too little for it right away. Here's my problem. I don't do amigurumi. And I really thought about doing this, and I looked at it and I thought, well, I don't want to mess it up. And it's so cute. The tubes I might, but the face, the head, I know I would mess up. I just don't do tiny things very well. So I'm going to put the word out there if there's somebody that I could commission to make this, preferably somebody that's close to me, like Ontario or somewhere in Canada. I will pay to ship it both ways, and I will pay you for your time if there's somebody that would like to volunteer to make this for, not volunteer, offer to make this for me, and I will pay you, because I think it would be perfect to give my niece's baby. So that's the first thing I got in the mail about a week ago. So then I'm at a loss for words, I have to really tell you, because it was a build-up. You know, like first I got this magnificent present for Christmas from my friend Cindy. And then I got 3 skeins of yarn from Gina. Remember, we have a live this weekend. I'll say more later. And then I got a free skein of yarn from Borealis as thanks for, you know, showing their yarn when I unveiled my advent calendars. Well, then I was in a conversation with Barbara, who is from The Color of My Fiber, and she happened to notice that I said when I showed the yarn that I was trying different bases, and I really wanted to try her confetti tweed because I had gotten the regular tweed, black tweed, last time, and she notified me that she was going to withdraw the confetti tweed as an option because it didn't look very good on certain colors. It only worked on dark tonal colors. And I said, well, 1 month, just do a dark tonal color. And I don't know, she had a reason why that wasn't going to work. But she said to me, but you pick a color you like, showed me the listing with the actual confetti tweed, and they must have been, I don't know, 8 different colors or quite a few. She says, pick your favorite color and I will send you one as thank you for basically advertising her yarn on my video. And so, and she sends it vacuum sealed, so I took it out. And here is, see the confetti tweed? It's different colors of neps on it. And this, it looks almost navy, but it is teal. It's a very dark, maybe it looks more teal back here, with the neps in it. Feels lovely. You know, I'm very, very pleased to receive this as a thank you. I didn't do it for that reason. I do it because, first of all, I want to use Canadian dyers, and I want to share Canadian dyers with my viewers so they know something about the yarn. And I haven't used her yarn yet. I have a fair amount of it over there, one whole little bin, which you'll see in a bit. I just want to share the knowledge I have, and I want to find different Canadian dyers and let you know about them. But so I was really, really touched again that she sent me this yarn to use. Because as you know, I'm not affiliated with anybody. As much as I talk about EFA, I'm not affiliated. They probably don't even know I ever say anything about them. But for them to be appreciative of me showing their yarn really is special. So that was the next thing I received. And then I was practically in tears when this happened. One day I go out and there's a box in my mail. Actually, I think the tweed came the same day. I'm not sure. But there was a box in my mail, and I'm saying, well, I was expecting a couple of things, but not that day. And then I looked, and it's from Diane. Diane has a channel called My Pink Bathtub Knits, and we have been in conversation back and forth a number of times. She is in Manitoba, and she is featuring Canadian dyers this year as well. She's actually taking a road trip through Canada to show you dyers. And I opened up this box, I'll show you in a minute, and a card. It's just wishing me Happy New Year and thanking me for the support I've given her in her new channel. And I'm thinking, I haven't done that much. I've talked to you, I've answered some questions, and in fact, the very day before that, she had asked my opinion on something, and you asked me my opinion, I'm going to give it. But these yarns came in these organza bags. and you open it up, and the first one is Polka Dot Creek, and you know I like Polka Dot Creek, and I think you can see these are sort of my colors. I mean, I don't always talk about pink and teal, but you know, next to purple and blue, that would be the next. And I, when I sent her an email to say thank you, she said, well, she showed this one day on her channel, and I made the comment that I like this. So she said, okay, I'm putting that aside. That's Judy's yarn. Anyway, Polka Dot Creek we're familiar with. And the other one in the organza bag is this one from Zen. Now, I have once talked about Zen. It's kind of difficult to figure out what's going on there because I think from what somebody else told me, they have a warehouse in Sarnia, which is in Ontario, an hour from me. And then over across the border in Port Huron, they also have a warehouse. I don't know how that works. But anyway, look at this. Splashes of purple and pink. A little bit of a rusty red here. But it is really nice and soft. Again, it's fingering weight. Super fine, superwash merino and nylon 400 yards. And I just looked at these, and it happened to be late at night because I'd forgotten to check my mailbox, and I was just getting ready to go to bed. And I looked at the two, and I thought, what did I do? I really didn't think I had done anything to deserve this. And I had just gotten all these other yarns and gifts that I just was bowled over. Diane, I'll admit to you, I almost broke down in tears. I was so, I don't know, flabbergasted and very appreciative. Thank you very much, Diane. And to all those other people that sent me things, I appreciate it. Let me say that. I appreciate every one of you that has thought of me and sent me something. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention in all those free gifts, Kathy sent me the gift card, and I got the cake that I showed you last week. So it's been one after the other after the other. So far, all my happy mail has been gifts. So what about acquisitions? I actually have a couple. And I'm going to show them. I'm not going to save them because next week I should be getting my monthly subscriptions, at least a couple of them. So I made one acquisition of yarn. I made this from Ravenswood. You're going to see all my Ravenswood yarn, and I couldn't pass this up. Look at the colors. A little bit of teal in there, but mostly bluish and purple. And this is DK weight. I don't too often buy DK weight, but I thought I have a pattern from CJ Brady that uses, it's a cowl type thing, and it uses one skein of DK weight, and that's what this is going to be made into. So that is the one acquisition of yarn that I made. And I made another acquisition of project bags. And you just saw my film of my room, and you know how many project bags I need. And I need some more because I don't have project bags for all of them. So I'm going to start with, after I got those two, these are all from, I don't have her card, from Sew Susanna, and I will put a link in the description box down below to her site. I got the big one that I got at Christmas, and then I got two others I showed you a couple weeks ago. Well, when I first saw them, I saw this Christmas one. I wasn't sure if I wanted or not, but it was so Canadian, I had to get it. Now, these are the smaller bags. You can't see as much of the fabric, but there is a Canadian Christmas decorations, reds and whites, along with there's a maple leaf, and there's the Canadian flag, and inside it's red and black, and there are pockets on both sides using the outside fabric. So that was the first one I got. Then I wanted one with gnomes, and we did some searching and finally found one that I was happy with. Now, this is a little more neutral than I'm used to, but I do like it. See the gnomes all through there. And again, it has a very nice matching interior. And again, it has two, oh no, this one only has one pocket, but the other one has, oh no, there is another one. It just blends in because it's the same color as the lining. Now, what I like about these is, first of all, they have the, I know it's not leather, vinyl, we'll say. They have the vinyl bottom, and they have the wire opening, like it zips up, but it opens and it stays, it sits flat and it opens. And that is the nice feature about it. And finally, I got 3 because I said I'm not going to keep doing this. I got this one, this nice, bright, colorful one. Isn't that pretty? As a cat lover. But look at the inside. I think she must have watched a few of my episodes. Look at the purple. Isn't that pretty? And then, of course, we have 2 pockets that match the outside. So when you look in it, nice and purple. So I have, I already have projects I can put probably in all 3, at least 2 of them. I have one of my UFOs that's just in a plastic bag I'm going to take out. And I have my yarn for our mal coming up, which I want to talk about now. Remember on Wednesday, this coming Saturday, which is January the 27th, Gina and I will be doing a live together on Gina's channel. But I think I've put the link, and I'll put it down below again for you to go to the link and set it a notification of a reminder for you this Saturday, because we're going to kick off the mal that we are cooperating on together, a crochet and a knit version of the exact same project. So I have my yarn for that needs to get in a bag. So one of these will be used for that right away. And like I said, my UFO needs to go in a bag. And I'm sure I'll find something for that 3rd one. So don't forget this Saturday. Now, it'll be at noon my time, Eastern Standard Time. And Gina's in Texas, so it'll be at 11 o'clock her time. And you'll just have to figure out what time it is. I know it's 9 o'clock on the West Coast, and I think 5 o'clock UK time, 5 o'clock in the afternoon. So I hope you're going to be there. We think it's going to be really fun to do this mal together, and we're going to talk all about the specifics on Saturday. And again, one last reminder that you need to get your January bird pictures into me by Sunday. So Saturday, the live, Sunday, the deadline for your pictures for my slideshow, which will be next Thursday. Thursday happens to be the 1st of February, so we're going to do double duty. We'll do the slideshow. I'll show you the bird for February, and then we'll do usual business, but not as much. So until I see you next time, whenever that might be, happy hooking.